From the very beginning, I have always felt that Lynette was playing a longer and far more dangerous game than anyone realized. And now that the spoilers are teasing a new blackmail demand aimed directly at Hayley, I can already see the pattern forming. This is not a one-time move. This is escalation. This is Lynette tightening her grip inch by inch until Hayley has no room left to breathe. I did not expect the balance of power in this story to shift so sharply, but the more I think about it, the more inevitable it feels. Because someone like Lynette was never going to remain in the shadows for long, not when there was an opportunity this big sitting right in front of her, and not when Hayley had already done most of the groundwork yet, left just enough cracks for a predator to slip through. What makes this even more interesting to me is the timing. Lynette has just had the charges against her dropped, which means she is walking away clean on paper, but completely empty-handed. In reality, she does not have Bill, she does not have wealth, and she certainly does not have the luxury lifestyle that Hayley is currently enjoying, and that contrast alone is enough to explain everything she is about to do. Lynette is not the kind of person who accepts being left behind. She studies, she adapts, and then she takes. And right now, Hayley represents both a shortcut and a stepping stone, because through Hayley, Lynette has direct access to Bill, and Bill is the real prize in all of this. Sometimes I catch myself wondering how different this entire storyline would feel if Lynette had been the one in Hayley's position from the start, and honestly, the answer is almost frightening, because Lynette is sharper, colder, and far more calculated. She does not hesitate, she does not second guess, and she certainly does not leave loose ends. If Lynette had targeted Bill from the beginning, I truly believe he would have been completely consumed by her by now. Not just financially, but emotionally as well, because Lynette knows how to read people. She knows when to push, when to pull back, and when to strike. And Bill, for all his wealth and confidence, has already proven that he is vulnerable to the right kind of manipulation. In a strange way, this could have been the ultimate punishment for Bill after betraying Danny, because Danny may be older than Hayley, but she carries a presence, a kind of quiet strength and natural charm that neither Hayley nor Lynette can fully replicate. And yet Lynette would not try to replicate it. She would weaponize something entirely different, something more dangerous, something more addictive. Hayley, on the other hand, has always felt like she was trying too hard, trying to hold on to Bill, trying to control the situation, trying to execute a plan that was never fully within her grasp. And that is exactly why she keeps failing, because she lacks the instinct that Lynette thrives on. And now those failures have consequences, because every misstep Hayley made has created an opening, and Lynette has stepped into that opening with precision, turning what was once Hayley's plan into something entirely her own. I can almost see the moment everything shifted. It was not loud, it was not dramatic, it was subtle. Lynette arriving at Fairmont Crest, observing, calculating, and then slowly inserting herself into the narrative, not as a participant, but as a controller. From that point on, Hayley was no longer in charge. She just did not realize it yet. Now, Bill is no longer just Hayley target. He is Lynette objective. And Hayley has been reduced to a tool, a middle layer, someone who does the work while Lynette reaps the benefits. And the most terrifying part is how effortless it seems for Lynette. She does not need to rush. She does not need to overextend herself. She just applies a little pressure here, a small demand there, and suddenly Hayley is spinning out of control, trying to keep everything together while everything is quietly slipping away. The upcoming moment with the phone call and the shopping bill feels like the perfect representation of this dynamic. I can already picture Hayley's face when she sees it. The disbelief, the anger, the realization that this is not something she can simply ignore. A bill longer than anything she has ever seen. Not just a financial burden, but a message, a clear signal from Lynette that she is in control now. And Hayley's reaction, that explosive frustration, that moment where she wants to scream, it feels completely justified because she is being pushed into a corner, forced to fund someone else's lifestyle while losing control of her own plan. But what makes it even more painful is that she cannot fight back. Not really, because Lynette holds the leverage. Whatever secrets or threats she is using, they are strong enough to keep Hayley silent. And that silence is what allows Lynette to continue. Meanwhile, Bill starts to notice something is off. And this is where things get even more complicated. Because Bill is not entirely blind. He senses that Lynette might be taking advantage of Hayley. He starts asking questions, and that puts Hayley in an even more difficult position. She is angry, she is desperate, but she cannot tell him the truth. Because the moment she does, everything collapses. The scam, the manipulation, the entire structure she has been trying to build. So she lies, she deflects, she protects Lynette even while resenting her, and that contradiction is slowly tearing her apart. I find this dynamic incredibly fascinating because it creates a situation where Hayley is both a victim and an accomplice at the same time. She is being blackmailed, but she is also actively deceiving Bill, and that duality makes her struggle feel more intense. And as a viewer, I cannot help but feel a strange sense of satisfaction watching this unfold. Not because Hayley deserves to suffer, but because the power shift is so well executed, it feels earned. It feels like the natural consequence of everything that came before. There is something almost ironic about watching Hayley lose control in the exact way she once tried to control others. And now she is the one scrambling, the one trying to keep up, the one being manipulated. The more she tries to speed things up, to complete the scam and escape from Lynette's grasp, the more things seem to fall apart. And Bill, instead of becoming easier to manipulate, becomes more unpredictable, more resistant. It is like watching someone run faster and faster on unstable ground. The harder they push, the more likely they are to fall. And time is not on Hayley's side, because the longer this situation drags on, the more risks begin to surface. There are other forces at play, other people who are starting to question her actions, to notice inconsistencies, to suspect that something is not right. That pressure is building, slowly but surely, and Lynette is adding to it rather than relieving it, because every new demand, every new act of blackmail increases the stakes. At some point, something has to give. What I keep asking myself is how Hayley is going to respond when she finally reaches her breaking point. Because right now, she is still trying to manage everything, still trying to play both sides, but that cannot last forever. Will she try to outsmart Lynette, attempt to turn the tables and regain control, or will she make a desperate move, something reckless that puts everything at risk? Another possibility that I cannot ignore is that Hayley might try to involve Bill more directly, not by telling him the truth, but by manipulating him in a way that indirectly solves her problem, maybe pushing him against Lynette without revealing her own guilt. But that is a dangerous path, because Bill is already suspicious, and if he starts digging deeper, he might uncover more than Hayley is prepared to handle. And then there is the question of Lynette's endgame, because I do not believe she is doing this just for short-term gain. She is building something, positioning herself for a bigger move, and Hayley is just the first step. If Lynette manages to fully replace Hayley in Bill's life, then this entire situation transforms into something even more intense, a complete takeover, not just financially, but emotionally as well. And if that happens, Hayley will not just lose control, she will lose everything. That is why this next phase feels so crucial, because it is not just about another blackmail demand. It is about momentum. It is about who gains the upper hand moving forward. Right now, Lynette is winning, clearly and decisively. But stories like this always reach a turning point, a moment where the balance shifts again. And I am very curious to see whether Hayley has anything left to fight back with, because if she does not, then this is no longer her story, it becomes Lynette's story, and Hayley is just a stepping stone on the way to something much bigger. And honestly, that possibility alone is what keeps me hooked, because I can feel that something explosive is coming, something that will force all these hidden tensions into the open. Until then, all I can do is watch Hayley struggle, watch Lynette tighten her grip, and wait for the moment when everything finally collapses or completely transforms into something even more dangerous.